Again, don't this up. Just be careful. Just buy, hold, have a long-term time horizon, and learn how to take pain. And when there is pain, you buy more. Unless something changes the thesis that suddenly we're all going to turn into Neanderthals and nobody's going to use technology ever again, it is going up. It's as simple as that. And unless something changes that we're not breaking the financial system and that the internet has disappeared, we will go to blockchain technology. It's as simple as that. That's all you need to know. Everything else is just noise.
And we're going to break that down because that is exactly the framework and thesis I have adopted. So stay tuned.
Picture this. 6 months ago, Bitcoin was $50,000. If you'd deposited then, you could have grown your portfolio by thousands. But waiting? It costs you more every day. Drip2 BTC turns missed opportunities into gains. Buy Bitcoin, deposit it, and watch your wealth grow effortlessly. Vacations, new cars, financial freedom, it starts here. Drip2BTC.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. I have mentioned my thesis multiple different times, and I don't really have a solid singular one, but it's essentially what Raoul just mentioned. It's like, has anything fundamentally changed? So have you done, let's just start with question one. Have you done your 100 hours on Bitcoin? Do you understand what this thing actually is, what it represents, and its capabilities? If the answer to that is yes, then the next question is, well, has any of that changed? If the answer to that is no, then you just continue to buy Bitcoin. That's it. That's the don't fuck this up thesis. That's the put 80% of your working capital, your savings, whatever it is, into this hard sound money asset, because everything else is engineered to go to zero against it. The only thing I said, like, unless there's some kind of black swan event, and that's what Raoul was mentioning, like we're all going to just become Neanderthals and the internet gets wiped out. So if the internet's wiped out, or a black swan event where things just get blown up and recycled back to the way things were before, well, you got bigger fish to fry than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin essentially is built on top of internet, and without the internet, so for Bitcoin to go away, the internet has to go away. And if the internet's gone away, then yeah, we're all living off the grid and, you know, off in the woods somewhere at that stage. And you would see that coming before that just happens randomly. So for me, the thesis has actually gotten stronger. The hash rate is stronger. The market adoption is stronger. The amount of nation states and countries and stuff adopting Bitcoin, the amount of companies adopting Bitcoin, everything is more bullish, more sound, more fundamentally structured than it was previously. So yes, unfortunately, I missed out on a 70-80% or a 80K less discounted price because I was too busy chasing shitcoins in the last cycle. But as I think it's Max Kaiser, I'm not sure if it was Max Kaiser who said this, but you get Bitcoin, maybe it was Michael Saylor, you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. So if you are kind of in the same scenario that I was in last cycle, and you're sitting on this now going, oh, Bitcoin's too expensive, I'm going to go ahead and buy some alts, I'm going to get into this rebasing token or this yield token or whatever it is, because you're like, yep, that's cheaper, I can get more of those. Well, you'll get Bitcoin at the price you deserve, because you will find out that all those other tokens will go to zero by the end of this cycle as well. So it's a hard lesson that everybody has to learn. But you'll figure it out eventually, and Bitcoin will still be there welcoming you with open arms to be able to get into it at that stage, and you'll get whatever you can once that happens. So for me, this cycle, like I mentioned it in our chats, that the amount of sats, because I evaluate now my portfolio in sats, I have been able to, I think as of now, 3.5x since I started this around November. So I was buying Bitcoin, I've been buying it for years now, but not as aggressively. And I really started going hard on the marketing and focusing on Bitcoin when Mystify dropped the high yield Bitcoin wallets And then he gave me a white label service on the platform that's Drip to BTC that's still running. And that is officially 1 year and 1 month ago that the Drip to BTC wallet has been running. And I think high yield BTC just over maybe a month longer than Drip to BTC. So for me, I've been going hard into Bitcoin, at least on the marketing side and in my portfolio. I wasn't doing the 80% at this stage. I still had a bunch of shit tokens and alts from the previous cycle, and I still have them now. I even showed you guys that I went ahead and bought some more alts this cycle. I haven't looked at that portfolio. Let's see if I'm logged. I'm not logged in. And I haven't updated this yet, so I'll do that in the next video. But this one is supposed to represent basically dollar cost averaging $100 per week and $50 into Bitcoin, 30 into Solana, 10 into Sui, 5 into Doge, and 5 into Smoking Chicken Fish. And even with this portfolio, the all-time profit's only down 4%. So it proves that it works. And once I update this with the last few transactions, because let's see, where are the transactions here? I think that would have allowed me to buy some Bitcoin. Yeah, I would have gotten it at the probably around the 74 level. We'll see what happens, because like I said, I can always go back and retroactively add the purchases, and it will add it at whatever the price of the token was at that date. So there'll be a 14, 21, and now 28 day purchase for these transactions, and that's when Bitcoin had bottomed. So even though there were some purchases over time, all the way back in January, where Bitcoin was 98,000, which is more than it is now, it just goes to show you that dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin is the absolute best narrative in the long run. Granted, the total portfolio is still down compared to just holding Bitcoin by itself, but that's the risk you take, and that's why it's, again, 80-20. So we will see by the end of this cycle where I'm sitting at with these different allocations, but this is just to prove to you that this is the best thing to do, simply because, like Raoul Pal said, have a thesis, and has it changed? If not, then everything else is just noise. And that's what I have really wrapped my head around this cycle. So I've actually been extremely excited about the chop that we've had and the opportunity to buy more when that dip happened. Like, I got it actually on one of the lows on Binance. I think I had a buy order in for like 74,600, and I think it went down to like 74.4 or something like that. And I got like almost at the absolute bottom. Now, I didn't ape in. I was dollar cost averaging all the way down. I told everybody on my channel that this was going to go lower, and it did. And I had buy orders in to capture that. So I'm sitting in profits because, again, as I showed you guys back a year ago, when I was making this content, I was purchasing Bitcoin back then. So literally a year ago, Bitcoin was sitting down here in the 60s. So if you've been following along, and especially if you've been with me from the OG days and made the same mistakes, getting into shitcoins, community cult projects, and gambling or over leveraging yourself, then you would actually be sitting just as good, if not better, than the positions that I'm in, because you would have followed the exact same journey. You would have realized, okay, those are shit and I wasted time. Where is the sound money principles? Where is the industry going? What's going to be here in the long run? Okay, it looks like Bitcoin. Let me start getting into that. And then again, my channel had just migrated with that, and that just shows my evolution and education along the way. And then I was able to capture Bitcoin at some of these prices back here, and was literally, like I said, given a platform to promote that, where you're able to accumulate. So I think even on the Drip to BTC platform, I have maybe, it's probably only like $5,000 worth of Bitcoin sitting there, but a lot of that was purchased at these absolute low prices, and they were at even higher discounts because I was buying them on the Bitcoin marketplace. So there was a bottom down here, 56K. That was an amazing opportunity. And if you would have got it on the marketplace at 10% or something like that, then could have got Bitcoin to like 40K. And I don't think we're going to see those levels ever again, in my humble opinion. But anyway, TLDR is have a thesis, and always recheck back in on your thesis. And for me, that is Bitcoin is sound, trusted, true, transparent, open, and secure. And it will be the behemoth that overtakes pretty much everything else that's out there. As the last guy I had from Anthony Papiano, it's a $300 trillion asset class for money when you're looking at just the total addressable market for money. And Bitcoin is that sound money layer. Now, I believe fiat currencies will still be here. As I mentioned, my tinfoil hat is that we'll go to a handful of fiat currencies that will control different parts of the globe. But at the base layer will be Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin, gold, and like I said, 3 to 5 others, like the US dollar, the yen, the euro, and the yuan, something to that effect, or maybe whatever BRICS does. I have no idea. But that would make trade more open and transparent, be easier to evaluate things, be easier to get things between different countries. And then, of course, Bitcoin, again, is not going anywhere, though. So that's just where I see things going. I don't know when or if that happens, but that's my potential, because we've seen other countries have their currency hyperinflate and they have to create a new one. Or as El Salvador did, they just go to Bitcoin standards. So it just seems like the natural progression of a fiat currency. It's going to explode one way or another. And the question is, do people rally and get behind something that is transparent and truthful? Or do they allow the governments to roll in the same bullshit that they had before? So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Do you have a thesis? Where are you at on your Bitcoin sats stacking? And where do you think the market will be by the end of this quarter? All right, smash that HBO special. Help a brother out. Like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.